We're at Bill Hoffman's place in northern Minnesota, not far from Kelliher, about 10 miles north of Kelliher. And the reason I came here today is because Bill had some interesting experience in Vietnam as a B-52 pilot and whatever else, and we're going to find out about that today. Bill, thank you for letting me come to your home and have a chat. Did you join the Air Force, or was it Army and you got transferred? What happened? You got drafted or what?
I was in college in Colorado, and I was in ROTC.
Oh.
And I came out as a second lieutenant. And I graduated in '63, and I worked for 4 or 5 months. And September of '63, I went to Oklahoma, which for our flight school. And that was very intriguing.
Now, is this something you signed up for, or they just put you in flight school?
We were set in ROTC, and if they gave us some examinations and all have you, and if I did right for that, because I ended up with Air Force and airplanes and helicopters, and ended up there initially in Oakland, or I'm sorry, not
Omaha? No.
okay, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. And then you went to a flight school at that point?
That was flight school in Oklahoma, and
Now,
I was
what
there.
year was this again now when you...
This was '63 in September,
Okay.
and we got out at January of '65. So literally I was there a year and about 2 or 3 months.
What were you flying for flight training? Small Cessnas, or what they have you go into?
Oh no, we were right into the
Heavies?
well, we had the little flight, the jet planes.
Okay.
And we had a new one that was a two officers, and we worked it quite a long time, and I wasn't at the top of my list, but I did end up, got my wings. My dad was there at the time. He had been a Army officer.
Let me back up 1 second. I forgot to ask you. Where were you from? What state were you from when you went to school?
I was from Minneapolis, Fort
Okay.
Snelling, actually.
Oh, okay.
And again, with my dad was moving around, we moved all around the USA.
And he was in...
He was Army.
He
He
was
was
Army,
in
okay.
World War II all the way through Pacific with General Kruger, and he initially was 27. 1927, he was a private, and General Kruger, etched him up to a colonel in '44. So that was quite a deal, because he only had an eight school.
Eighth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
8 years of school then. That's wow. All right, now you're going to flight school, and how long are you at flight school?
I was there. It was about a couple of Christmases we were in there, so it made it a lot longer. But it was probably about 14 months.
When you left flight school, what were you flying? Fixed wing, rotary wing, or both?
Fixed wing.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go to, I did go to South Dakota for B-52s. Prior to that, I'd gone to California, where we worked on that too for about 6 months. And then I didn't really like that particular airplane, but
You mean the B-52?
yeah.
Why didn't you like it?
Uh,
Just too big, or just come? It's cramped cockpit.
Oh no, it is cramped, but we went to Guam, which was the big part of it, is when we were going from Guam to North Vietnam, when this was just starting up.
Okay, I asked you the year. First of all, can you find that radio and turn it down for me?
Yeah.
Or the TV or whatever it is? 'Cause that's going to pick up on you're just powered down.
Put
Some-
the red one on the,
Yeah, he's got it.
it'll mess it forever if he hits the wrong button. No.
Can you do it from there?
I'll get it. No.
Oh, hell, wrong place.
Okay.
Sorry to mess this up.
No, I didn't. That's what we can edit. That's what editing is for, so to speak. Okay, now you're involved now in the B-52, which you didn't like at first.
Not particularly. I didn't like Strategic Air Command. They're very difficult, and I think I was a little bit too young to that situation. But we did go to Guam. We did bombed for 6 months over Vietnam.
Based in Guam? You flew
Yes.
from Guam to Vietnam?
We were flying all
Right.
the way around. But we
How much time from Guam to North Vietnam flying time, one way?
from Guam to, well, this was in right below the part of the
DMZ.
DMZ,
well,
the border.
the D and the there. We
Okay.
didn't go all the way up, but it was depends upon the weather and the wind and what all. We go as much as small as 8 hours,
8 hours one way?
and then no, the whole ways.
Oh, okay.
And then a little on. Sometimes it was 12 hours.
Round trip.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? Could it go around weather? Why so long?
That's what you were saying. Yes, sometimes you have to take some fuel on from another aircraft,
Okay,
and
refueling.
that makes them more tough.
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
sure.
refueling. But anyway, that was interesting. Other than the fact that we were dumping a lot of bombs, and I remember one of the pilots said, "We just don't pretend who's down there," but I'm sure we killed a lot of people. And but anyway, after that, I had an opportunity because they were short on helicopters, and they put it up on the wall, and I was the only one that. Two of us, I think, we went. Anyway.
Now, where were you at the time? Guam? When you signed up?
No, this is back to Rapid City. Yeah, we've done the Guam thing. We were going, I didn't go back, I just did it once, and but that was 6 months, and
How many trips in the B-52 did you make to Nam from Guam?
quite a bit, probably, I don't know, 35 or 40.
Okay. And then after that, you went back to the States again for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, South Dakota.
Whereabouts, South Dakota?
Uh,
Is it a military base? Or?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, there's a base there. But then I read that letter and sent it in regarding helicopter pilots, and I still ended up in SAC, but it was a helicopter SAC place down in Arizona, and then from there worked for a while. I worked up to a captain, and then I went to Vietnam, Da Nang. We were going in about almost 2 months off and on. So I probably.
And what do you mean by going in?
Going into Vietnam, Da Nang.
From Da Nang to in. I got.
Yeah, it got back and forth from Arizona,
Oh.
Phoenix, and going back to Vietnam. And
Why'd they have you going back and forth all the time? Why didn't you just stay in Vietnam?
well,
Just the way it works.
I'm not really sure myself.
Oh, okay.
We were going back and forth, and they did that for many, many, many years. And I stayed there, and I didn't have to go anymore, but I had an opportunity. I got a regular uh, Air Force deal as a
Commission?
Commission,
Okay.
yeah. And then we did a lot of that flying around Monkey Mountain.
And where's Monkey Mountain? Is that in Nam?
That's Da Nang, right against the ocean.
Right in harbor.
Right in the harbor? Now,
Yeah.
why were you flying around this particular mountain near Da Nang?
That's right. We go out into the situation of the whole thing of the helicopters was catching the drones that were going up to North Vietnam and dropping the parachutes on a drone. They go anywhere from 1,000 pounds for maybe 2 or 3. But they'd
What was the purpose of the drone?
it's cameras.
Oh, just, okay.
See the
Reconnaissance.
yeah, the reconnaissance. One of the big what is that? One of the bigger airplanes dropped it. It would go down all around Vietnam North, and they had people, of course, in the plane, and really they have their own situation where they could go around all that place, but there's people, of course, in the
Now,
airplane.
the B-52 drops this drone with people in it?
No.
Oh.
This was the beginning of drone.
Oh, okay.
Just about the beginning.
So it took off of an airport
Yeah,
and it went to do aerial photography?
something like that, because
Okay.
they came up from the lower Thailand, Camp Samud. There was a big
You
place
Dorn?
there. No,
Not
Udorn,
Udorn?
no,
Okay.
no. But anyway, they would fly up from Bangkok, and they would go out to drop the drone, and then we'd catch it, take it back in. We hooked it up with hooks out of the back of the helicopter and winch them down or winch them up and take back to the Da Nang airport, which was about 14 from where our helicopter place was.
What do you mean by 414?
I say it's about, we were one quarter where our little outfit was close to one of the biggest military Air Force aeromain. But we did that. I was there back and forth, but mostly back in the U.S. Because practicing on doing these things, trying to catch stuff.
So
And,
let me back up. So the drone is being dropped to photograph things and it lands someplace and you have to go pick it up then?
No.
No.
He drives it all the way around from the airplane. He drives it, the other Air Force people. They
Oh.
came back, and we'd be just to the east, I guess, of Da Nang, over the ocean, and they'd drop it, and there I get a big parachute, and it had a little parachute. And then we'd fly over it when it comes down, and we hooked from the back of the helicopters, and we'd get a hold of the small parachute, and if you hit it properly, it would kick off the big parachute. And we'd have it maybe 300-400 feet below us, because it's just like a fishing deal. It just throw that out.
Okay.
And we'd take them back, and then we'd take them over. The drones, where we'd pick them up, we brought them in the airport, and then the plane stops, gets a new fuel, takes it home to lower Thailand, or not Thailand, where am I at? Bangkok? No.
Tan Son Nhut.
No, not Tan Son Nhut.
Well, it took it back someplace where they can analyze the intel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
is that the only helicopter flying you did, was that, or did you have to go in country at any time?
Well, we were in Da Nang.
Yeah.
We were up close to the northern part of Vietnam. But this lasted about, oh golly, about 3 years. And I was going then, I was transferred to Texas for a while. And then, the heck, like I was saying,
Well, how many years-
remembers this, but
Well, how many years were you in the Air Force total?
I was there for a little bit over 10 years.
In the Air Force? And how much time did you have to spend in Nam out of that?
2 years and eight months. The reason being that we brought up to Utah, and they taught us. Yeah, I went from Arizona to Utah, and I got in the situation that we could fly the bigger helicopter. See, the small one was an H-3. That took care of the drones. The 853 was a very, very brutal outfit. We could lift a good 10,000 any time out of it. But anyway, we were in Thailand then, Nakhon Phanom, and I was there for about a year and 6 months, I guess. And we were taking helicopters, or we were taking Lao people that are on our side, took them up to not North Vietnam, but North Laos, where they were fighting.
And where did you pick the Lao people up at?
We'd have a place we pick up in Thailand. They'd have
In
a lot of
Thailand,
them
okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you brought them to northern Laos?
We'd drop them off, we'd find a place, and hopefully go back and get them.
What was their function?
They were supposed to take care of, there was North Vietnam personnel there, but it was mostly the Laos that were on their side. So it
They
was-
call it the Pathet Lao?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, did you ever hear about something called Lima Site 85 at Takan Station?
Yeah, I did hear
Got
something
overrun?
about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you were flying the B-52s up in North Vietnam, were they then using the SAM missiles at that time? Was that a concern to you?
We weren't, but towards the end, we were.
Okay.
But no, we never had anything like that. We did get shot at often, not often.
But using what? Some kind of,
Yeah, we had,
no missiles,
no, we had,
just ground fire.
they had primarily ground fire, and we have sort of a Gatling guns in the helicopters. They got on one on the side and one on the left. We didn't use them too much, but the most interesting was they'd bring in North Vietnamese that were covered and supposedly on our side, and
Now, what do you mean? What do you mean by covered?
they were people that we were picking them out to the Ho Chi Minh Trail,
Okay.
and they were supposed to go up north and find some more information, and this was kind of drifty because a lot of times they got caught, and some of the helicopters got shot up. A lot of those kids got.
So they're giving you false information then?
Not really. It finally, at the point when it was getting so difficult, and they were starting about the war going down, and after about 6 months, we couldn't do that anymore as far as taking the North Vietnams back onto that area, and then go back and pick them up. On one of them, one of the pilots came in, and the helicopter was handling the helicopter. Anyway, a bullet came through the head, and it knocked his head off, or not his head, his hand. And they had to go into Vietnam because it was closer than going into Thailand, because we'd gone all the way around Laos, and we're going next next to Vietnam, and it's going on that corridor that they worked on it there. So we'd go in and out, and we only, like I say, we did it about 6 months.
Wait a minute, let me back up. What happened to the guy who got his hand shot off? Where'd you take him?
Oh, we took him over to Vietnam,
What?
and that one of the closest place to Laos. That was a military, but I don't remember the name of it now.
I mean,
I
our mili-
wasn't on that one,
Oh, okay, all right.
but we mostly we had our work was in Laos, and
You
and
say
also we went to Cambodia, but that's more properly, and we went down there because we were taking batteries for some sort of situation where they needed it, and the people
Now,
from
batteries, you
Vietnam
mean-
were moving up to Cambodia.
now, you said batteries, like big car batteries, small batteries? What kind of batteries? Any idea?
I'm
Just boxes of batteries, all you know.
they were basically small batteries, and we went over there again about
Where's there? Cambodia?
in Cambodia.
Okay.
And that was a tricky place too. We weren't supposed to go there really, but we didn't have any problems. And a couple of the helicopters got crashed, but there was some problems with the helicopters. And the Jolly Greens were there, the same helicopter as we played. But ours are SOS helicopters. It's a different situation, and a lot of times they're a lot more difficult than we were.
Now, when you're flying around, let's say Cambodia, how'd you navigate? Chart? Loran C? TACGAN? Well, what'd you use for navigation?
Just
Seat of the pants?
seat of the pants, maps.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't get much there, but
I've seen the maps, and
well,
but it looks like it's hard to know where you are. Everything looks the same.
there's a big lake there on the way. We used to go down there. That's what the Jollies, they crashed into that for some reason, but they had a problem with the helicopter.
Now, this is a lake that you saw heading to Cambodia.
Oh, it's a way, way, way big lake. I should name the name, but I don't have it at the moment.
I can find that.
Yeah, it's a big one.
How much time did you spend in then flying the helicopter in Nam, Cambodia, Thailand, etc.?
I'd have to look in my books. I suppose it would be
Year?
many hundreds of hours. But yeah, I was in between Thailand and Vietnam. It was 2.5 years.
Do you have any idea of how many hours you put in a B-52? Kind of
Well, those were big loads. I suppose even in the States, we'd go up to Alaska for about 30 hours. We had to have refuel.
so you probably have a couple thousand hours then, probably.
I think, yeah.
How about the helicopter? How much time you put in that?
Helicopters, quite a bit.
Do you miss the flying at all? Did you do any flying when you came back?
Oh, I loved it. I liked the flying. I didn't really like the B-52s particularly, but I certainly liked the helicopters.
Okay, now when you left Vietnam for the last time, what did you do the rest of your time before you got out after a total of 10 years?
Yeah, I went over to Texas for about a year, which is this one. This is in
Okay,
Texas 701, and we were at this time, we weren't doing very much because there was a big problem with the petroleum. And
what do you mean it's a big problem with petroleum?
we were having big problems, and usually you have to fly at least 4 hours a month. I was helping, I was an instructor, and I'd have to get away for some of the months, or maybe 2 or 3 months, You know, as in overseas, we're talking, 50 and 100.
You say you had a petroleum problem. Was that the lack of fuel to train with, or quality of the fuel?
I'm not really sure.
But you didn't get the many hours as you
Apparently,
wanted.
this was after Vietnam, and they said we're not getting
Fuel.
the fuel. But, and that was my last edge. I'd always said that I was flying a desk, because I liked the flying, but I didn't like the desk, and I'd been there for a year, and I just turned out because I was a regular. I could stay in, but
So that's the reason you left after 10 years then? Because you couldn't fly anymore? Yeah.
well, no, because unfortunately I missed major at that point, and that was the thing.
That was the crunch.
I think I could stay in for a couple more years or maybe more, but it wasn't interesting anymore.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to a lot of people that didn't, once they became major, they were a desk jockey, and they didn't want to do that. Anything we're missing, Lyle, that we haven't discussed here about Bill's flying?
Columbia helicopters after he came home.
Columbia helicopters?
He flew another 8-10 years with the private outfit.
Okay, we're gonna get a,
That was a good one too.
we're gonna get a picture of this in a moment. Tell me about, you flew with, who's Columbia helicopters?
That was in Oregon, and they're almost the same as the helicopters that were for
That you were flying in the Army?
the Army.
Okay.
But again, I was pilot, and we didn't have that. We always had a one
rotor? Okay.
Yeah, but those were good too. We could lift those about 10,000.
So how much time did you fly then in civilian life after you left the Air Force?
It was about
Years.
12 years.
12 years, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
now this is 2014,
Yeah.
losing track of my dates here. 2014, when's the last time that you flew an airplane or rode in with somebody else? You remember the last time you were in a chopper or a fixed-wing aircraft?
That flying was, well, we had a crash, and that kind of slowed things
Now,
down.
wait a minute, who's we? The people,
Me and the
the people you're working for?
no, me and my co-pilot
Flying what?
up in Washington.
Okay.
Tell that whole story. It's a dead.
Which old story? You holding out on me?
We were dumping water on fires,
Sure.
and it's it's doing it all the time, and we had a waterfall, and we were able to, rather than going down to a lake from the river and the waterfall, it'd fill it up.
At the waterfalls.
Yeah, just bring the bucket over there and
We put a
helicopter.
10,000 pound in, you were close on it, and we were at 6,000 feet, which we had too much lure. I had a little difficult on that. But anyway, I was looking out the window looking for fire. We have it's a big plastic deal. You
Yeah.
can look down.
Okay.
And I had a co-pilot who was a Norwegian. And
Oh, you're in trouble already now.
I was had trouble because I could hardly understand him sometimes, and I'm not even sure he came over. And but anyway, he's supposed to be looking at the instruments, because I am looking at the
Bucket?
bucket to drop it and find it to go. Well, anyway, we were zipping around, and I started the rotors were starting to slow down, and I looked at it, and it had 98 is the lowest that you can. That's
Percent.
the best. That's the lowest of the flying. Yeah, of the rotors. Well, it was about 93, and I put down the collective trying to get it out of there, but next thing we knew, went into the trees, and I got knocked out. My head, or my, that's probably why I'm forgetful. But cracked my helmet, fortunately, because we usually didn't use helmets in civilians. But anyway, the first word I got was that I was knocked out, and Carl said, "I thought you were dead." I didn't know about that. And about the next 5 seconds, "The Fokker's on fire." I thought, that's not good.
And you're in the machine.
Yeah, and we're upside down.
Oh, jeez.
And we got out. The way to get out of it is the bottom. Okay. We fell down on our heads, and we're looking around to get out the place, because I was looking down there, and it was up there, of course. And then Carl again said, "The Fokker's on fire." And then I said, "Well, we better get out of here." We did get out, and we jumped, and we ran about 50 feet. And I said, "We better stop and see if we've broken bones or anything." And he said, "Bullshit, I'm going to run." And that's when it blew.
Oh, it blew up.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So you just got out in time then?
Yeah. If I would have been knocked out for another
Yeah.
2-3 minutes, I would have been a goner.
Yeah, if it doesn't count.
And I just turned 50, and I'd always thought that nothing could harm me.
Oh, yeah, everyone thinks that.
But that's about it. That's something else.
And then you stopped flying at that point. Would you continue
No,
on?
really, we've got a little parachute plane I've got.
What's that? What kind of plane is that?
It's just
Piper?
you have a 50 horse, and it's a parachute. And you
Oh,
go
sure.
up on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You put a big fan behind you, and you.
Yeah.
Well, geez, when's the last time you used that?
That's almost when we got it hurt too. I ended up in a tree.
With the parachute plane.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That's got to be 15 years. No,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
20, because you took my dad out there
So now-
to look for me.
Now that's the last time you've been flying in anything.
Well, no, I've gotten. I kind of lost interest in it.
I wonder why.
Well, you ground looped it once here, 2 years after that, right here in the yard.
Yeah.
Ground loop? How do you ground loop a parachute plane?
Well, he was trying to take off, and it didn't. He
Didn't.
went over a bump and tipped her over.
And probably didn't have the right wind either.
Now, is that parachute plane still here, or did you finally bury it?
Yeah, it's in the barn.
No, the engine's probably fine to play with, but the parachute's too old.
Well,
Tear.
we tried it. We got it running a little bit, but then a friend of mine, we broke off some of the wheels, so that makes it a little difficult.
Oh yeah, if you can't do a rolling takeoff the parachute up.
But
What do we
these
have
are
here
my,
photo-wise?
These are my 53s. That one
got a
is
close-
that's in Thailand. And,
Okay.
and the same there. We just come in from, I think, not Cambodia.
Are you on here?
We
I
must have
can't-
come out of Laos.
Are you on here?
Yeah,
That's one here? Okay.
good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy. We'll get a close-up of that in a second. Do you have any, okay. So we'll get a copy of all these photos, and so we can see them. Have we missed anything that I don't know enough to ask about? Because we can edit, anytime. Well, I was surprised that you didn't have any concern about SAM missiles coming at you and the B-52s. I guess they weren't out and deployed yet.
We were beginning on the first. We were the second B-52s that came in there.
How far north did you go?
We went over once over the latitude or whatever it is.
38th parallel.
Period, Pellet? You never got to Hanoi or that far north. Everything was in the southern part of, the northern part of Vietnam.
Well, it's Da Nang. It's close to Da Nang,
Okay.
and that's about halfway up or a little bit more.
So there was enough activity north of Da Nang to warrant the B-52s.
Well, they did. Now, when I was in Thailand then with the helicopters, when they were, Nixon knocked that down, that to blow out, bomb North Vietnam.
Wait a minute. Nixon stopped the bombing? Is that what it was?
No, they were trying to stop the war.
Yes.
And they took those B-52s and went up to Hanoi, and they did drop
Okay.
a couple of them were on fire, and we were the closest in Thailand. And one of our guys, the Jolly usually has it, but they've got all the night stuff they can look. But our guys, we were looking around the perimeter, and I didn't there, but one of our pilots, it was on fire, and they parachuted out, and they had enough light it was at night, and they picked them in to our outfit, which of course the Jollies didn't really like that, but we got the B-52 people back.
How'd you get them out of the jungle?
No, it wasn't. In Thailand, it isn't.
Oh, in Thailand.
See, they were flying
Okay.
up there, and they were on fire, some of them.
But they got back to Thailand,
They got to
and that's why
Thailand.
you could get the guys out. Okay, I just pictured them in the jungle, and how do you get them out?
Yeah.
I've heard stories about that.
Well, you can still do that. I mean, with the helicopters, but
Yeah, but
it
you're
would be
sitting
very
there.
difficult.
And
Yeah.
they're shooting at you as you're sitting there hovering. Talk about a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Did you have any Kevlar or anything to sit on?
Oh yeah.
Plenty of Kevlar that's in your back and side. Kevlar or metal or whatever, what it was.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. We didn't even, a lot of the guys, me too, that we always had armor on, but we say, we don't need that, but that was stupid.
Yeah. Okay, well, you did need it. Bill, thank you for taking this beautiful day to sit and talk with us in your kitchen here. I'll put this together and you'll get a copy.
Well, thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. And like I say, I missed a few letters or not, but I'll try to do better the next time.
Well, you can't remember everything. I mean, tonight you'll say, oh, I didn't mention this. Oh, I didn't mention that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Just like I could edit this thing, I can edit it 4 times. It'd be different each time.
Yeah.
There's no end. You just have to go with what you've got and do it. Okay, thank you.